Nach der Werbung sehen Sie World News Tonight, Nachrichten in englischer Sprache.
Liebe geht durch den Magen. Das wollen wir doch mal sehen. Findus Lean Cusine. Die feinen Genießermenüs aus der Tiefkühltruhe. Hähnchenbrust auf Gemüserisotto. Da schmeckt jedes Menü unglaublich gut. Ich wusste doch, dass er Lean Cusine nicht widerstehen kann. Lean Cusine hat eben das gewisse Etwas.
Ganz schön raffiniert. Lean Cusine von Findus.
Wenn Sie wissen wollen, wie auch Sie Millionär werden können, halten Sie was zum Schreiben bereit.
Ich heiße Fritz Müller, bin Richter. Mein Urteil über Müller-Milchreis. Seine fruchtige Leichtigkeit erwirkt mildernde Umstände beim kleinen Hunger.
Alles Müller oder was?
Ich heiße nicht Müller, aber auch ich bin für mildernde Umstände.
Milchreis. Alles Müller oder was?
Alles Müller oder was?
Es gibt auch eine einfachere Art, sich seine Träume zu erfüllen. Mit einem Los der Süddeutschen Klassenlotterie, natürlich von Glöckle. Telefon 0138 3838. Denn über 749 Millionen Mark suchen neue Besitzer. Fast jede zweite Losnummer gewinnt. Sie erwarten 37 Millionen Gewinne, darunter 6 Hauptgewinne à 5 Millionen. Das Beste, jeder Gewinn ist staatlich garantiert und einkommensteuerfrei. Also rufen Sie jetzt sofort an, denn die Lose sind begrenzt.
Vom Alpenland bis auch nach Gelsenkirchen, wohin man schaut, ist er die Nummer 1. Der ist so leicht, der schwimmt sogar im Bierchen. Ein schöneres Zwischendurch mal. Kennen wir keins?
Harzinger, der leckere Käse, der aus der Rolle fällt.
Glöckle, die einfachere Art, Millionär zu werden. Rufen Sie uns jetzt sofort an.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. Our first report tonight is about a very basic question. Is the economy still stuck in recession, or is it beginning to emerge? The government came up with some new numbers today suggesting that the overall economy grew in the fourth quarter of last year a little faster than the government had thought. The broadest measure of the economy's health, it is called the gross domestic product, was up 0.8%. But does that mean the recovery has actually begun? Many private economists are not convinced. Here's our economics editor, Stephen Ogg.
Denver is one spot where the real estate business is booming. A big difference from a year ago when the few potential customers there were wouldn't even give real estate agents their names for fear of being pestered.
Now a young couple comes into an open house, they readily give you their name, their telephone number, and their life's history. Because if they're not working with a realtor, their chances of purchasing a home are very nil, because homes are moving so quickly.
Stronger consumer spending was one big reason the gross domestic product rose during the final quarter of last year. At large retailers like Sears Roebuck, they say business has been picking up.
Business has been very good lately. Ever since the Christmas, apparel has been extremely well. And the big surprise has been in January, our appliance sales have really shot up.
But is business picking up enough to indicate a strong recovery? While more goods were produced in the last quarter, demand was still so weak that many of those goods remain unsold and simply went into inventory. Victor Zarnowitz is a member of the Committee of Economists that looks at various indicators and tells the government when recessions officially begin and end.
I would say that the economy is in a recovery, but a sluggish recovery that could still reverse itself.
The best guessing among economists is that the economy will recover this spring. Lower interest rates should encourage people to buy new homes and automobiles. But the recovery is expected to be the weakest since World War II. Stephen Ogg, ABC News, New York.
There's another report from the government today on the toll a recession has already taken on the nation. The Agriculture Department says the number of Americans receiving government food stamps has reached a new high in December. Nearly 25 million people, 1 in every 10 Americans on food stamps. The number is rising fastest in the Southeast. And here's ABC's Rebecca Chase.
The line for food stamps in this suburban Atlanta county has never been longer.
If you'd asked me a year ago, I would have told you this would have never happened to me.
It is further confirmation that the recession has spread to the middle class.
My salary has averaged $53,000 a year for the past 5 years.
Jack Sheets was a manager for a steel distribution company for 12 years until he was laid off last fall. While he is looking for a job, his daughter has been forced to drop out of college. And much to his embarrassment, Sheets now feeds his family with food stamps.
I go to stores to where hopefully I'm looking over my shoulder and hope to God I don't run into friends or neighbors.
Good afternoon. The following clients have 1 o'clock food stamp group appointment.
The millions of new applicants are straining an already beleaguered system. Caseloads have doubled in the last year.
Another one of the forms that we passed out are the ID cards.
So processing applications takes much longer, sometimes more than a month, a critical delay when people are out of food.
They are absolutely desperate and don't know where to turn, and they're very angry, rightfully so.
As a middle-class casualty of the recession, Jack Sheets has a new appreciation for the government's safety net.
I guess, in all honesty, I have always thought of food stamps as a hand-me-out to people who was trying to beat the system, and now here I am participating.
Unlike unemployment benefits, food stamps do not run out. So the president has had to ask Congress to increase the food stamp reserve fund this year by 10-fold, because no one expects the food stamp lines to get any shorter anytime soon. Rebecca Chase, ABC News, Cobb County, Georgia.
One other note on the economy, the American Bankers Association says that the number of people behind on their loan payments actually went down last fall. In that case, it's the first decline in nearly 2 years. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials lost almost 2 points to close at 32.67, and the trading was heavy. For the week, stocks lost 12.5 points. In a moment, some of the other news. Pat Buchanan reaching across party lines with his campaign against George Bush. Overseas, the Prime Minister of Australia in a royal row over his treatment of the British Queen. And because it's Friday, we'll have our Person of the Week.
Have you had your V8 today? Did you know that V8 juice has less than half the calories of that apple?
Wow!
Did you know that V8 has more vitamins A and C than that tossed salad? Wow! And did you know that V8 is 100% vegetable juice, so it has no fat, unlike that low-fat yogurt?
Wow!
So how do you feel now that you know these things?
Wow! I gotta have a V8.
V8 is a nutritious blend of 8 vegetable juices that taste terrific. Have you had your V8 today?
The fox and the grapes. There are rewards to be had, yet they are not always within easy reach of investors. With Merrill Lynch mutual funds, the potential need not elude you. We search high and low for opportunities, but let us remind you, sometimes to reap rewards, you have to wait till they're fully ripe. The moral is, patience is a sound investment principle as well as a virtue.
In presidential politics, the White House today stepped up its attack on the president's challenger, the conservative commentator Pat Buchanan. The White House press secretary, Marlin Fitzwater, called Mr. Buchanan a town bully kind of guy who just wants to tear things down. Criticism which certainly does not seem to slow Buchanan down. Here's ABC's Chris Bury.
In Georgia today, Pat Buchanan continued to play the themes he hopes will attract Southern conservatives.
Imagine our churches becoming agents for the IRS.
In a new TV ad, Buchanan accuses the Bush administration of asking churches to name their donors to the IRS. On the radio, he hammers away at Bush's signing of the Civil Rights Bill. And today, addressing the Georgia legislature, Buchanan again blamed Bush for federal funding of sexually provocative artists.
Well, I don't care what they do in their garrets with their precious bodily fluids and bullwhips, but I'll tell you, if I'm president, we won't be paying for it with American tax dollars.
In Georgia, Buchanan is tailoring his message to conservatives of both parties because primary voters here don't have to register their allegiance. Buchanan is trying to convince Democrats to cross over to him. His message is reaching some Democrats.
Affirmative action. These things are just not right.
E stands for prayer in the schools. We'd like to see that again.
But Buchanan is taking a risk by concentrating on the conservative swing voters pollster Claiborne Darden calls the Bubba vote.
His campaign is targeted towards Bubba. But one problem, Bubba don't vote in no Republican presidential primaries in the South.
Primary voters here tend to be middle to upper class Republicans, and Vice President Quayle has been sent out to corner them.
And I believe that the campaign that Pat Buchanan is waging will backfire. It's an insult to the people of Georgia.
Because even little Danny Quayle's been down here coming after me.
Not even the bombastic Buchanan expects to beat President Bush here Tuesday, and today Buchanan conceded he cannot succeed in the South without help from Democrats. Chris Bury, ABC News, Atlanta.
Elsewhere in the country, a judge in Michigan ruled today that Dr. Jack Kevorkian must stand trial on murder charges. He is the doctor who admits having built devices used by 2 women to commit suicide last year. The judge says since Dr. Kevorkian intended to cause the women's deaths, he must be tried for first-degree murder. There is a new report tonight on tuna fishing and what it means to dolphins. It has become such an emotional issue that some major canneries have said they will not buy any tuna caught by fishermen who use nets that also kill dolphins. Well, today a 4-year study by the National Research Council finds that saving the dolphins could drive some of the tuna fishermen out of business. Here's ABC's Gary Shepard.
In the eastern Pacific, tuna and dolphins swim together, so when tuna fishermen spread their purse-seine nets in a huge circle, they usually catch dolphin as well. While most are released unharmed, about 1,000 are trapped in the nets and drown every year. Congress ordered the study to find an alternative fishing method. The study found the only way to keep dolphins from dying was to stop using the big nets. But the big nets are the only commercially viable way to harvest tuna. The industry argues the goal of no dolphin deaths whatsoever is unrealistic.
I think that if you were to apply that objective to other industries, say for instance the commercial trucking industry in the United States, you'd have to rule out commercial trucking because of the accidents that occur.
The report's main recommendation is better training for tuna boat captains. One environmental group calls the study a waste of taxpayers' money.
We hope that it would chart the course for our future research into alternatives. All it offered was a modification or recommendations for modifications of the existing purse-seine technology.
The most comprehensive study to date has found no way to save all the dolphins without killing what's left of the American tuna industry. Gary Shepard, ABC News, Los Angeles.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Have you tried Folgers coffee singles?
One coffee
In its own filter.
Singular sensation, every single cup you brew.
It's like brewing a whole pot. One cup at a time.
Singular sensation, fresh brewed mornings for you.
There's ground roast in here.
In its own filter.
Folgers, singular sensation, just for one.
Folgers coffee singles. One sensational way to wake